Hello everyone, welcome back to Total Football Talk. Thanks for joining me. I'm Keith, and we're going to look into all the latest news coming out of Manchester United. This is your 10-minute little roundup. It only goes on a little bit longer if I rant. So we're going to look at the main topics, and we're going to look at information coming out that Manchester United are, if they're willing to sell Antony, and if Real Betis are interested. The fee has been kind of talked about, so we'll have a look at that. We'll also look at the information coming out on what Rubin Amorim has said about Antony and his ability to play in the Premier League and also in the Spanish League. And he has some really interesting comments, so we'll have a quick look at that. We'll also look at there's news coming out that Rubin Amorim is struggling with Andre Onana. And I mean, he did his press conference yesterday, so we'll just have a quick look at what he was talking about, and the information that's come out. There's also news coming out that Rasmus has got sympathy from his teammates and saying, that they talk about the burden that is currently on him as the striker of Manchester United, so we'll look into that. We'll also look into the player, what's the other thing? Sorry, Lenny Yoro. We'll look at what Ruben has said about Lenny Yoro. And then obviously the FA Youth Cup team got through to the semi-finals of the FA Youth Cup last night. They beat Arsenal at the Emirates in a game where they won 3-2 in extra time. Now, I didn't see all of the match. Seen all the first half and a bit of the second half, and it was a cracking game. Some excellent players on display, and we'll have a look at one of the young players who was playing at right back, Kamasin, who was absolutely fantastic last night, as were a lot of them. But we'll have a quick look at a little bit of that. As I said, a big shout out to the FA Youth Cup winning guys. It takes pride of place in Manchester United's history. We have won it the most times, I believe, and we also have, we have a great history with it. We won it back in 2022, and obviously Garnacho and Minu came through. I feel sorry for Dan Gore because he's another unbelievable talent that's just been decimated with injuries recently, and he hasn't quite maybe fulfilled his potential yet, but I think in time he could do. But massive shout out to those guys. It was an excellent game. They deserved to go through. They worked hard, and obviously the Obi Martin didn't play last night. He's with the first team, so he could feature tomorrow against Fulham. So it'd be interesting to see how we get on with the with the next round. I think we avoided Manchester City. I'm not entirely sure. I think we'd maybe play Watford, or is it either the winner between Plymouth and Aston Villa? I think United play. I think Manchester City play Watford in the other semi-final. So it could be an all Manchester derby, which would be absolutely fantastic. And so we'll just have to see how the guys carry on in that. But that's enough about that. We'll move on to the information that we have about Antony, which has just come out, and this is it. So according to reports from Spain, Manchester United have told Betis that it would take a fee of €50 million, which is roughly around 41.3 million, to make Antony a move. A permanent move at the end of the season. United are also open to selling the player to other clubs, but they will still want around €50 million. Just on that, where do you sit with that? Do you think we'll get €50 million? Do you think Manchester United? Do you think Antony's worth €50 million? Obviously, he's got off to a flyer in his first 4 games. He's scored. He's assisted. He got a red card that was rescinded. So he's absolutely cutting it up. He's absolutely smashing it in the Spanish league, which is brilliant for us. I think it gives us an opportunity to. He puts himself back in the market, gives himself a chance to, potentially be sold again. As in, there might be suitors out there, which would be absolutely brilliant. Because, as we will go into the next little bit, this is what Rubin Amorim has said about Antony and the Premier League. Rubin Amorim on the challenges on the Premier League. He says, if you don't have physicality, you will struggle a lot. Antony is much better now in Spain. It's because of a lot of these factors, but I guarantee a lot of it's physical. So obviously, Rubin Amorim's come into the Premier League. He's realised the intensity of the Premier League, the speed and the physicality that's needed to play within the Premier League. It's maybe been even for him a little bit of an eye-opener, because I can imagine in Portuguese football is probably quite similar to Spanish football. Maybe it's a bit more technical, where in the Premier League it's cut and thrust, and sometimes it is that basketball match and you've got to be able to cover the ground quickly, and you don't necessarily have a lot of space and time on the ball. And I believe that's what he's talking about. Antony in Spain maybe gets a little bit more time. The pace is probably slightly slower, and the physicality. He's not getting smacked around by the likes of Dan Burn and players of that ilk. They just maybe aren't the same type of players. Don't play in the Spanish league, so he gets more time in the ball. He gets the chance to be creative, and maybe some players are just better suited to other European football rather than the Premier League. But this comes back to Manchester United. We didn't do our due diligence. We didn't look at this properly. We didn't factor that in whenever we paid an absorbent amount of money for him. So I think the club made a mistake. Anthony's got himself out there and he's doing very well, and he obviously is progressing very well. So kudos to him. And maybe this will give us the opportunity to potentially get a sell on. And we can, if we can avoid taking a massive hit on them, if we were to get 50 million euro, it's obviously with FFP and PSR, we won't make a lot of money, but if we don't make a loss and we get the opportunity to get them moved on, then happy days. Okay, so this is what Rubin Amorim was saying about Onana. Reports are coming out from Give Me Sports saying that Rubin Amorim is becoming increasingly frustrated with Onana's performance and could encourage Manchester United to pursue a deal for Diego Costa. Now, Diego Costa is an interesting one. Where do we sit with this? Tell me your thoughts. Diego Costa, do you think he's better than Onana? Now, we've seen him play for Porto when we played him in the Europa League earlier on this season, and he made 2 bad mistakes. Now, as a goalkeeper, he is someone who does command his box. He is good with his feet. Generally, a really good shot stopper. But I just think the fee for Diego Costa is not going to happen. We can't afford him because he's under contract. He's going to be in around that 60 million mark. I don't know how we get rid of Onana, who costs nearly 50 million. I don't know how we bring in Diego Costa, who's going to potentially cost around the same figure or a bit more, because no one's going to buy Onana. He's not going to go anywhere. And we don't have the money to replace him. So as much as this story from Give Me Sport is very interesting, I just don't think it's going to go anywhere. But please get your thoughts in below. What do you think? Do you think we need a new goalkeeper? Who would you like as your goalkeeper? Drop me a line. Let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking out there. Now, swiftly moving on, and we're looking at Rasmus here, and the feeling among some players internally is that Manchester United, so there's a lot of sympathy for Rasmus, as he should not be shouldering the entire sort of goal scoring burden in the strikers room at the club, at the side. Obviously he shouldn't be completely burdened with the strikers kind of role and the goals that he needs to be scoring. He's a young lad, and I would like to carry on supporting him, but I also realize that to play for Manchester United, you have to be a very good player. You have to be able to represent this shirt. The strikers that have gone before him, Cavani, Ronaldo, Solskjaer himself, Dwight York, Eric Cantona. Obviously, Cantona was maybe more of a deeper line striker. But, these are players who scored big goals in pivotal moments of Manchester United's history. And unfortunately, Rasmus is just really struggling at the minute. And I don't know what the answer is, but we really do need someone up front who can at least hit the net. I get it, he hasn't had any service, and I'm not criticizing him for that. He just is struggling at the minute, so I don't really know where we go with Rasmus, to be honest. But I do believe that Ruben probably does like him and sees the potential, but is he going to get the time to work with the potential? We've talked about that before. Tell me who you'd love to come in as the striker below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And this is another story that was coming out from The Sun, which I really don't believe. But obviously, The Sun have said that Manchester United stars are frustrated with Rubin Amorim after he blamed their poor performance for hundreds of the club's employees being made redundant. Now, is this true? The Sun have a tendency to not get a lot of things right, so I'm not really buying too much into this. It is a bit of news, so I just thought I'd throw it in there. I do think that maybe the players are a little bit frustrated that he made that very public, but Rubin Amorim is a kind of public person, as in when he talks to the press, he really gives a strong indication of his thoughts and feelings. And sometimes if you scratch the surface, you can even get a little bit deeper with his thoughts and feelings if you want to. He's very open and honest, and it's kind of refreshing from a supporter's point of view to hear your manager talk so openly. Now, whether the club like it or not, I don't know, but obviously the club are backing him at the minute, but let's see how much they back him in the summer, because that's where the key area really comes in. Because as good as the youth team is on the FA Youth Cup FA Youth Cup team at the minute that may go on to win it, as a lot of really good players in there, and we'll have a look at one in a second. They are super, but that doesn't mean that all these players are going to come through at the same time, and that doesn't necessarily mean that these players are going to all make it. So, tough one. But let's move on to what Rubin Amorim had to say about Lenny Yoro. So, Lenny Yoro, he said he works hard in training. He's gaining muscle. Everything you don't see, he does. He's going to be a top player. He's going to have a great career with Manchester United. And for that, he knows that he has to improve himself in every game. Now, I've talked about Lenny Yoro, and I spoke about him after the Ipswich game and the impressive performance that he had, which was very understated. I get it, it's only Ipswich, but they're a physical team, and he, as an 18-year-old, is still, or maybe he's 19 now, but he's still a teenager regardless, and he's learning to cope with the physicality of the Premier League, which again we've talked about earlier. Massively important that you learn to understand the physicality of the league. I think Lenny Yoro's got the potential to be an unbelievable centre back. Now, I could be made to eat my words, and that's fine, but I think there's a brilliant player in there. I think we spotted the potential, and I think Rubin Amorim also sees it. And hopefully we can make this, hopefully we can help him grow as a person. He's obviously doing all the development, which is brilliant. And let's see where it goes from there. And then the last little bit we're going to look at is, so as I said, the under-18s had a cracking performance last night. Brilliant to see them go through. A very young Arsenal team, they had sort of a lot of 16s and 15-year-old kids playing in the under-18s. And their number 10, Dawson, I think his name is. Brilliant, Alex Dyson, cracking wee player, number 10, brilliant for them. Caused us a lot of problems. But Jaden Kamasin was absolutely superb. Scores a brilliant goal, but it's not the goal that you want to go and check out. It's his ability to get up and down the flank on the right side. Absolutely fantastic. He can drive forward. He's got the ability to sling in across. He's got the ability to find players. He's obviously got the ability to score goals too. I've seen him in quite a few games for the under-18s this season, and he is one to watch. Him, Jack Fletcher, Scanlon. I mean, and Ibramimov. I can't pronounce the kid's name. Absolutely fantastic. He came on for the second half. Very, very impressive kid. So there's 3 or 4 of them that I'd love to see come through, like the class of 2022, like Garnacho and Manu, and what should have been Dan Gore, and hopefully Dan Gore goes up and have a down the line. But that's where we are with that. As I said, this is a little bit. Kamasin was brilliant last night. Absolutely worth checking out. Checking his goal out, fantastic. Academy Scoop is brilliant for the all the academy stuff. He gets the rundown on it. It really lets you know in detail what these players are like. So go check him out. But absolutely brilliant that they went through. And yeah, okay, guys, that's all the news. I've gone over my 10 minutes. Apologies. But get your comments in below. I'm Keith. If you could hit me a like and subscribe on the way out, but absolutely fantastic. They're still going up, and I'm loving it. The viewing figures are going up. I'm absolutely delighted. I really, really appreciate all the support, and anyone who's anyone who's got to this particular part of the video. Big ups to you, and yeah, massive shout out to you as well. Thanks very much, guys, and I shall see you tomorrow for the FA. Let's see how the FA Cup goes. We'll look at that one tomorrow.